What if I told you that she is the first ever female, youngest and first mayor of ethnic origin in Gerrards Cross, and once worked at Goldman Sachs, run a political magazine, and still finds time to run half marathon, all while serving the community. Today's guest isn't just an inspiring leader, she's also a friend whom I have known for over a decade. We've organized many India-centric community events, stood up for Hindu causes, and dreamt of a stronger voice for our community in British public life. Now she has taken over the role of mayor for Gerrards Cross, from UBS and Goldman Sachs to mayor's office, from city boardroom to community hall. This is a story of Prerna, who is a very grounded yet graceful leader. In this conversation, we talked about her journey into politics and what it really means to lead with purpose. Now she continues to stay connected to her Indian roots, Hindu values, while making waves in British politics. We had a very interesting conversation about her courage, culture, and creating change that matters. So stay till the end. Thank you.
Namaste and welcome to Global Desi Podcast. To celebrate the incredible journey of the 30 million global Indians settled outside India, we're here to shine a light on the extraordinary stories of people from all walks of life.
Today, I have the privilege of having Prerna on the Global Desi podcast. Prerna, I know you from more than a decade now.
A very long time.
Yes, not just as a leader, but as a change maker and a fellow, if I may say, activist or change maker for Indian and British Indian and British Hindu cause. Now you are a mayor. How does that feel, Prerna, for you?
Well, it feels really amazing. I mean, I always say it's such an honour and a privilege to have this role, because you do sort of have a big responsibility, and it's sort of great to be head of a town, and it's a really amazing town, Gerrards Cross. I know I'm biased because I live there, and I've been living there for 7 years now,
Right.
But it is really beautiful, and it's a real honour to represent the residents and the people of Gerrards Cross.
So, Prerna, when people see you, they see all the charm of being a mayor, but your journey started as a barrister, then you moved into banking and business as well, and then you moved into politics. So how was that? Can you break it down? How was the journey from being a lawyer to banking to coming back to politics? So what was the journey like for you?
Well, it's quite a long journey. I always believed in helping people, fighting injustice, and, sticking up for people that don't have a voice. And that's what led me to study law and to follow law as a degree. But when I was 16, I did shadow Baroness Flather in the House of Lords.
Right.
And I was really inspired by the amount of hard work how much work she actually put in and what she did to help women and children.
So is she your local candidate? Or
so sadly, she passed away. She was in the House of Lords. Right. So I've known her since.
Okay.
So my father has a radio station, and he knew Baroness Flather, and he kindly introduced us. And then she took me on for some work experience just for a week, and I ended up staying there for a month because I loved it so much.
Right.
And it really opened my eyes to what politicians actually do and how much they do contribute to our society.
Exactly.
Not only in the Lords, but as MPs as well. They actually hold a lot of power to change people's life for the better. And so after that experience and studying politics A-levels, I thought, actually, I really want to pursue it.
So you studied politics as well, yeah?
Yeah, and that's when I really sort of realised that everything I believe in aligns with the Conservative Party. So I joined the Conservative Party.
That was my next question, but you already answered. So why did you join Conservative? Was there a reason to join Conservative, or your value system? Why did you join Conservative Party?
So as a mayor, I have to say sort of party political, but I am a Conservative member. I've stood as election for a Conservative a local candidate. But everything the Conservatives believe in is what I believe in. So strong family values, low taxation, helping sort of business owners and small businesses to thrive and flourish, helping our economy, and also, quite strong on crime and antisocial behaviour, people that abuse the system. So that's everything that sort of really resonates with me, and really, and also conserving the environment as well.
Definitely,
so we're seeing what's happening with,
climate change and climate crisis.
And the green belt as well. We see with the government at the moment, they're doing a lot of harm to the green belt with overdevelopment and housing. So I'm quite aligned to the Conservative Party. And I think they've had, first female prime minister, which is so inspirational, and first Asian, prime minister from India. So I think it's an amazing party.
So you were the youngest, first female, and first person from ethnic background to become the mayor from Gerrards Cross,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
So how does that feel, breaking all those barriers? Was there a moment of pride, or there's a pressure that I am the first female, first young person, so I have a lot to do for people I represent? So how does it feel when you first become mayor?
It was really amazing.
Yeah.
It was really, really amazing. And at the same time, it was a bit overwhelming as well, because it is a really big responsibility. And when you are sort of young and female, you do think you have more to prove. So I make sure, I was put in that position because I did work really well with my councillors. I still do. The councillors are really amazing and really supportive, and the members of staff that work for the town council. So I just make sure that everything I do, I put my 100% in it, and
I've definitely. I've worked with you with some events, and I see that you're very meticulous in planning things and getting things done. So was there a moment in your life then you realized this politics is what I want to do? Or when did you realize that politics is your calling?
So I did realize that from a young age, but I wanted to study politics as a degree, and then with family, like, oh, what are you going to do with politics? You should do like a proper degree. So I thought, I did always want to do law. I'll stick with law. Got called to the bar, but whilst I was doing my law degree, I stood for a council candidate in Loxford, and that's in Ilford. So that was totally unwinnable seat. But then I did, even though I was supposed to be a paper candidate, I fought the campaign, I doubled the vote. So I did have that in me from that was when I was 21. I was a treasurer of Kent University Conservative Association. I've always had, something on the side, but then I did sort of go into banking. I thought, it's a good career path. The salary's really good. So I was at UBS, and then I went to Goldman Sachs. And meanwhile, I was still doing my, political association work. I was also writing for lots of different sort of
Indian... and you were at the radio station as well.
So I did a
lot of things.
I like to keep busy, as you can tell. But then I just thought, I was at Goldman Sachs, and I wasn't able to do all these other things that I like doing, like, political articles, campaigning. I thought, actually, what I'm doing is not making me happy. And I feel the happiest when
the urge to do more.
I actually want to make a difference and do things to help people. So I ended up leaving Goldman Sachs to start a political magazine, Vahan, and that was based on UK, Indian and Middle Eastern politics, and that was in British class business lounges. But sadly, because of COVID, they stopped taking physical copies, and I thought, I had a small child at the time, gave birth to my son, so then sort of put it on the back burner. And then there was a chance to get to stand for election in Gerrards Cross, and my daughter was just under 1. Well, I thought I'd take the bold leap to fight the election, and ended up winning. And then,
so your family must be really, really supportive of you, and you got married. And how was your husband supportive of your ambition to become a politician, councillor? So how much support did you get from your family?
So I'm really, really lucky to have a really supportive husband. I wouldn't be able to do anything if it wasn't for him, his encouragement, his support, the fact that he takes such good care of our children as well. So most evenings I'm at events and at weekends as well. I've had to travel for work as well, and he's always there. Very reliable, very encouraging. I mean, there's times where sometimes if I doubt myself, I can always speak to my husband, and he'll be like, "No, you can do it."
Wow.
He's really my rock.
It's great to have a supportive partner who can just push you through.
It's amazing. I feel very, very lucky and blessed. And my parents, my in-laws, everyone's really supportive. So very lucky.
Yeah. We have a lot of young viewers for this podcast and listeners. So they wonder how to enter politics, So as a young person who become councillor, then become a mayor. So what would be the first step someone, especially from ethnic minority, British Indian, those they want to enter into politics? So what first step they should take, and how should they carry on their journey to contribute to British politics? What are your thoughts on that?
I think firstly it's quite important to join a political party, especially if there's a political party that you resonate with, be it Conservative, Labour, Lib Dem, any party that you feel really passionate about what their policies are and what their beliefs are. And I think through that you join your local association or your local branch, you help campaign, you really get involved in helping your local community. And I think through that's where I started. So I was, treasurer of the Ilford South Conservative Association. At the moment, I'm now Deputy Chair Political of the Beaconsfield constituency under Joy Morrissey MP. So I think, you can work your way up through an association level, really help, the local elected representatives. And then through that, there's opportunities whether you want to stand to become a councillor or an MP as well. So I think through that will really give you a taste of, what it's all about.
So first step is to join a political party which you resonate with, and then moving way forward from there. Yeah.
I mean, there's other ways of doing it as well. Some people join think tanks or they work like the civil service.
Yeah, because like I joined civil service. We both started as a community leaders, and then you join politics, I join civil services.
Yeah, it depends what your goal is and what you want to do and what you feel more
as long as you're contributing and to the change, which is important. That makes sense, Prerna. And, many people think that you need, because a lot of us have a day job, and moving to politics is challenging because when you are a councillor or when you're just a member of party doing campaigning for your candidate, it doesn't pay you, So there's a lot of sacrifices in terms of monetary terms you do. So how does someone who is for example, somebody who has a dependent family and things like, how do they balance their finances as well as their pursuit to join the change making, or whether it's politics or something where it's not very like. I have worked with bank as well, and now joined civil service. I have reduced my salary by huge percentage, but I like what I do.
That's what's so important. That's what I did as well. You've got to, sadly, like doing the things you love sometimes doesn't pay the bills, and I think it is really challenging.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the council role, most of the meetings are in the evening. You could go out campaigning at sort of weekends, so you could fit it around a day job. But I think sometimes if you're, say, a chair of a certain committee, such as sort of finance or highways, that can take more time than sort of you could just say a supposed backbencher in the council. So I think there is a sacrifice you have to make.
Definitely.
And a lot of time management skills goes into it. So, I do sort of...
You've got one life, so you have to sometimes make some compromises to achieve what you want.
So I do the school run in the morning, and I come home, I'll go to the office, do some work, work in the evenings, work at the weekends, or, my son's having a tennis class and I'm just doing my emails. You just have to... It is hard, but, you do find a way.
But at the end of the day, you get a good sleep because you're doing what you enjoy. So what was the toughest transition for you from being a mother or a banking profession to becoming a politician? So what I understand, finance is one aspect of it. What were the other challenges from transitioning from your kind of full-time job to becoming a politician? So what are the challenges you face?
It's just, so for example, working in the bank, working at Goldman, if you wanted something to get done, it would get done in the next hour from you sending that email. Whereas working sort of in politics and a town council, things are a bit more slower and relaxed. So I think getting my head around, the public sector versus the private sector, there is quite a big difference. And it did take a bit of time to sort of, understand that, the pace sometimes can be a bit slower. There's a bit more bureaucracy as well, that, everything has to go to a vote. If it's, say, over, we're paying for something that's costing over £2,000, we have to have everyone's agreement on the council. There's also sort of like different personalities that you've got to work with and understand. And then also knowing that everything you do, you're working for the benefit of the town and for your residents. And you're actually spending taxpayers' hard-earned money.
Definitely.
So making sure that you're really careful and that you're only sort of...
value for each pound spent.
Exactly.
That's what with a civil servant we have to be like. What we are doing is it give value to the citizen. And
also what you're doing impacts a lot of people around you. Whether if you mismanage funds, there's been councils that have been bankrupted. They've had to raise council tax by 25%. So just making sure
important for the citizen.
That we're keeping our citizens happy. We reduce council tax by 5%, keeping all our services running, and it's just a completely different sort of problems compared to public to private sector. You do your job, you come home, you get your paycheck, and that's it. You switch off. Whereas in politics, I'm getting emails all the time. There's issues all the time. You're sort of always working. So that's quite a bit of a challenge with kids as well sometimes.
I imagine unless you have a supportive family, it's really hard to deal with all of this thing. Even for me, I'm most of the time in London doing podcasts, attending conferences. So definitely. So you think having a family support is a great strength, isn't it? So, and now coming back to your roots, you always stood up for British Hindu and British Indian causes, So how do you balance being a member of council and also rooted to your origin? So how do you balance the best of both worlds, if I may say, because you're also a, if I may say, British Indian origin and as well as a British politician. So how do you balance your root as well as the council you represent?
So I think one really good value that we share as Hindus is sort of our values are universal. So we treat the whole world as one family. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think that sort of makes you work for everyone, regardless of what religion they come from, regardless of which background. Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings.
Yes.
We're all living on this earth for a certain period of time. And it's our duty as if you're following Hinduism properly, it's our duty to ensure that we're doing the best we can for our society, no matter who they are, and all different walks of life. So I think having those Hindu Sanatani values has actually made me a better politician, because I can treat everyone equally, because that's the foundation that I've been raised on. And also looking after not only like your family, looking after animals, looking after the environment. In the town council, there was we were using a pesticide before I joined the council called glyphosate, and the World Health Organization said that that's a probable carcinogen. And quite a few countries have banned this pesticide. I was getting emails and letters from residents whose animals have become sick. They're saying, it's harmful for children if the pesticide's been sprayed and they pick their toy up and put it in their mouth. So then I thought, why don't we ban this? So we stopped using that pesticide.
That's a great move.
Exactly. So it all, relates to looking after the environment, looking after animals. And as the first sort of Hindu mayor, I did have a civic ceremony which showcased Hindu values as being, and it was the first of its kind, because there's no one. It's always in a church, but as being a Hindu, I did face some challenges with that.
So you really break so many barriers there, isn't it?
Yeah, and there were some challenges with that, but we overcame it. And as a community, everyone did come together in the end and support the Hindu civic ceremony. And it got to show that actually Hindu values are universal values. It's human values, really, to be honest. So that does definitely help.
So I know you have been part of so many Hindu organizations. That's how I know you, from Pandit Satish Sharma ji, when we hosted Dr. Subramaniam Swami almost 10-12 years ago. And you've been part of City Hindu Network as well. And you've given speeches in World Hindu conferences as well.
I did.
So how do you imbibe those Hindu values? Do you read any scriptures? Do you watch videos? So, because how do you imbibe those Hindu values in your life, and how do you give those values to your children as well? So is there anything you do is there any practice you do as a Hindu on a daily, weekly basis, going to a temple or doing anything like that?
Yeah, or how long have you got? Because I can talk about this for a really long time. So I've always been sort of practicing Hindu. Yeah. When I was younger, I was part of the Prerna youth group. My parents really did, and my grandparents instilled sort of, Hindu values. And I've made sure that having my children, that they have those same values as well. So, we're all vegetarian. We go to the temple quite often. My kids have both had their mundans.
Wow.
And we go to the Hare Krishna temple in Watford, and there's a Nrsingadev picture. And I used to be terrified of it when I was a kid, but my son looked at it and was like, oh, wow, who's that? And then from then, both my children, they've become like Nrsingadev bhagats, and they sing all his prayers. They want to read all his stories.
Beautiful.
So every night we sort of listen to the Hanuman Chalisa before bed. I read them like a Hindu book, and they just really love it. And the first time I took them to India, we went to Tirupati Balaji temple together, and my kids had the best time ever. They really, really loved it. So we do a jot at home every day, and the kids, I've got them the cymbals, and my son wanted a damaru and a mrigan. So they sit there playing with the instruments and singing. It's just like something that's really fun, and we do together. And they sort of pick which bhajans they want to listen to on the way to school. So we kind of make sure that, they do have those traditions and values, and they know about our religion as well. So, and every time I go to India, I do visit like a Shakti Peeth or Jyotirlinga. So
Amazing.
I make sure I'm always...
Yeah, I completed the Char Dham Yatra last year. So every year I used to do one dham with my parents. And last year I completed the fourth dham in Dwarka. So we started from Jagannath Puri, then went to Badrinath, Kedarnath, then down south Rameshwaram, ending up with... So it was an amazing experience. I was born in India, but never seen India like this. So
really?
Yeah, so Char Dham is a way to explore India and different cultures. different Hindu values. I mean, especially in down south. I've never been to those temples, and they are amazing, beautiful, and thousands of years they still stood there.
Yeah, that's true. I do love going to India and visiting temples, and I think you get a lot of Shakti as well from visiting the temples, and that kind of gives you the strength to continue in your journey and your quest to help people.
Yeah, definitely. I remember now you're talking about British Hindu politics, so I remember the day when Rishi Sunak was Chancellor and he liked the crackers from 11 Downing Street, and then when the next Diwali he moved to 10 Downing. So how does that feel for you? That did you get a sense of pride that the first amazing British Hindu Prime Minister? Yeah,
it was really, really amazing that he was able to break history and break so many barriers by being the first sort of Hindu British Prime Minister. It was such a big proud feeling for all of us, and I think we were really proud of him. He's such an inspiration.
Definitely. Have you met him?
Yeah, quite a few times. So I actually interviewed Rishi Sunak for my father's radio station, Youth Sound Radio, when I was younger, and he was just a backbencher, and he gave me so much time. Was really down to earth, really friendly.
I met him once as well. He's quite down to earth.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then during the leadership campaign, I was trying to help him as well, so I met him a few times. He's come to Beaconsfield, so it was really good in Gerrards Cross. So it's
definitely a moment of proud for all of us, isn't it? He also reads Hanuman Chalisa every day. Yeah, because I asked him when I met him, he said that I read Hanuman Chalisa, but when he eats non-veg, he said doesn't he read. Yeah. So, as you see, there are a lot of divisive identity politics going on in the UK. Why do you think it is important for us as a British Indian, British Hindus to represent ourselves in politics, whether it's local government or in Parliament, whether it's in Westminster Parliament or in Scottish Parliament or Wales Parliament? So there's a lot of divisive politics going around, isn't it? And sometimes, even though as British Indian and Hindu, we contribute heavily to the economy, we have the lowest number of people in prison, and we are the best example of good citizens any country can have. But still, especially places where in London and nearby, everybody knows that Hindus or British Indians are doing the best, but we mixed up with other Asian community as well. So sometimes people get racial attacks, targeted. So why do you think it's important for us now than ever to be part of politics or local government? Why?
So I think if you're not part of politics and you're not part of local government, and you don't have a voice on the decision-making table, and I think one thing that I feel that us as a community have been left behind because we haven't naturally been involved in politics. We don't really campaign. If something happens that is against our community, or we don't really make a big fuss about it, or really raise our voices. And I think when it kind of feels like the person that shouts the loudest gets heard. Whereas if your MP doesn't hear from you, then they think those issues don't really affect their constituents, so they don't have to then raise it in Parliament. So I think it's up to us as a community that if there are issues that face our community, we should start lobbying our MPs, get a bit more organised and active, and make sure that our voices are heard. Because as you said, we contribute so much in terms of the economy. We really educate all our children, make sure that they have really good jobs. They all contribute to society and work really hard, and we work really hard. So I think we do definitely have to enter politics to have a voice and to make sure that our issues and concerns are heard as well.
So if you have to say directly to young British people who are hesitant to join politics, saying that politics is dirty or not for us, and what you want to say a message to them, and why is it important for them to at least participate as either becoming a member of party or just at least exercising their right to vote? Many people don't even vote.
So women died for the right to vote, and it makes me really annoyed when I knock on someone's door and they're a female and they're like, "Oh, I never vote. My vote doesn't make a difference." And actually, every single vote does make a difference, because people can win or lose an election by just one vote, and I've seen that happen. And
I remember what's his name. The Conservative guy who lost just by a few votes.
It does happen, and it just shows that everyone has a democratic right, and everyone's got that democratic right to vote and to use their opinion. And I think I speak to lots of schools and nurseries in the local area, and even if you're not of voting age, your voice is still important. Your voice still can be heard. You can still write to your counsellor. You can still come into the council meetings and have your own opinion expressed. And one small example, so I went to my son's nursery and a couple of other local schools, and I said, we're looking to get some new play equipment into the park. What do you guys think we should do in our park? What equipment would you like? And then, got a bit of a sample feeling of what the children wanted. And as a result of them voicing their concerns and what they would like to have, we put 2 new pieces of play equipment in the park, like a trampoline and a roundabout. And it's accessible as well because there was a disabled child which wasn't able to use the equipment. And so just having one person raising a voice or someone saying, I would like this, or can we do this? It does make a difference. Like everyone can make a difference if they were more vocal and active. So I think, everyone's got it in them and we should be more active in politics. It governs every single area of our life, the journey to school, what we're eating, the food we're consuming, like what pesticides are being used on the, the roads and the fields, giving us, the fresh produce. It impacts everything, the taxes that we pay. So everyone who pays taxes and contributes and lives in this country does have a right to, express a political opinion. I think that's a basic fundamental human right for us. So we should
all exercise it. And for one of my example, when I was with Hindu from Britain, there was a faith and belief group in Scottish government, and there was representative from all the faith, like multiple Muslim faith, multiple Christian faith, and Sikh faith, but there was nobody representing the Hindu faith for years.
Really?
And I was the first to represent the faith and belief team, and one of the legislation they passed was banning fireworks, and they've excluded few festivals like Chinese New Year, Garfax Night, Christmas, New Year, but they didn't have Diwali in this because there was no Hindu representation. So when I joined, so this way, if it had a ban fireworks, so we couldn't have enjoyed the Diwali. So
it does make a difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Just you being on there makes a difference between everyone having a fireworks for Diwali. So everyone can contribute and make a difference.
All right. So now coming to your next stage. So now you're a councillor and a mayor. So can we say? Do you have any inspiration? Any minister, current, who you look forward to? That is there any inspiration for you? Do you look forward to?
So because I do have 2 small children, I'm always sort of hesitant as where the future lies. Like I'd like to take each step as it comes, but there are definitely people in Parliament that I really look up to and that have really, really inspired me. So Preeti Patel, I think she's a really big inspiration. She's not afraid to stand up for what she believes in, and if she has an opinion, she will say it. And I think that's what true politicians should be. You shouldn't, sort of suppress what you're feeling or what your constituents are feeling because you'd like to sort of be neutral. It's nice to have convictions. And obviously Rishi Sunak being the first Hindu British Prime Minister is a very, very big inspiration. So there are lots of politicians, even Joy Morrissey, my MP for Beaconsfield, she's always really standing up for her residents, sticking up for what she believes in and helping people. And for me, I think that's really commendable and inspiring.
I know you being a mayor, you cannot say a lot of political things, but is there anything in current scenario in the government, UK government, which you want to change, or you wish the government could do some changes? Is there any 1 or 2 things?
Quite a few. I wish I could change. Firstly, I think the VAT on private schools, I think is really unfair and it's really punitive because it's squeezing out families that work really hard and save up their money to send their children to private schools. And quite a lot of people now can't afford to send their children to private schools and having to put an even bigger burden on state schools. So this whole tax scheme was created to help the state schools, but actually it's backfired and state schools are struggling even more because there's a bigger demand for them because they've squeezed out people that work really hard to be able to send their kids to private school. And now it's only people that are really wealthy that can afford it. I think there's lots happening to small businesses. So there's the increase in national insurance contributions.
So has it already been passed, VAT on? Okay.
There's inheritance tax changes to farmers as well, which is a really big one. So
I think there was a protest recently as well.
Yes, I've had a lot of people from the farming community come and speak to me and say that they're going to have to sell their farms. They can't afford to farm anymore. I mean, they've already got lots of big regulatory burdens in what they do, how they farm their fields. they're really regulated, and then they're just going to be squeezed out because they can't afford to pay the huge inheritance taxes as well.
Definitely, that's it. Right.
So there's so much like the changes to green belts becoming grey belts. So there's more development that's going to happen on green belt lands and not preserving the environment. There's so many things. There's tax on landlords as well.
Yeah. Being a landlord, I realize this. It's no longer profitable to being a landlord, especially in Scotland, because there's so many legislation and so many taxes. Yeah.
So I think people in all walks of life are really being hurt by the Labour government and the taxes they've introduced. I think it's really harming our economy, and it's making people really think about whether they actually want to live here or they want to move abroad and do their business abroad. So I think it's quite a worrying time that we're going into. There's an assisted dying bill as well.
Yeah. So do you support assisted dying or do you oppose it?
I oppose it because I think it's it might be putting pressure on people to end their lives. It's not a natural form of death as well. It's kind of playing God a bit as well, and taking and then maybe forcing people to go down a path that they might not want to go to, or they're not in the right frame of mind as well. And
definitely.
so I think there's a lot of scary things. There's sort of like puberty blockers as well being introduced to young children.
So
this is endless. I can go on and on.
So is there any good thing which you think that has happened in last few years? Is there anything good has happened which
I can
imagine being a conservative.
Not the current government. Right. The 1 in 1 out scheme hasn't been working as well with the migrants coming across the channel. I think it has been quite a disaster. Now you're seeing communities that are being the hotels are being forced against them. There's something that happened in Epping with the local council went to the court and they said they won't be having migrants in that hotel, and then the government overruled it, and now they're being forced to have migrants, some of which committed a crime as well. So I think it's a really sort of.
So what do you think of the Tommy Robinson's big rally where like hundreds of thousands of people have joined? So do you think that there's a strong sentiment anti-immigrant among British people? What do you think? What do you make of that?
I think so. In Gerrards Cross, we've had lots of St George's flags being put onto lampposts, and a lot of the community have come out and spoken against it. So it's not just ethnic minorities, it's people that are, like English, been living here all their lives, through generations. So I think there's two sides of the argument. I think there is a strong feeling, there's a bit of resentment that, people are crossing the channel illegally and we're having to, taxpayers funding them to put them in hotels. They're being enforced into communities that people, where there's crime and there's young children, and they don't want that. And you can understand their sentiments as well. But on the other side, there are people that think it is a right-wing protest and they feel a bit fearful. But from my understanding of it, it's just against the people that cross the channel illegally, that don't come here with good intentions, that don't want to integrate. And I can definitely see both sides of the story.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Prerna. So now the last segment of this, we'll have some rapid-fire questions where you just get 10 seconds to think and reply. So who give you tough questions? Your kids, journalists, or your council members?
My kids. Especially early in the morning.
So one British Hindu or a Hindu value you would never compromise on?
Being vegetarian.
Yeah, same as me. If you weren't a mayor today, what would you be doing?
Probably in media.
Okay. So, fish and you don't eat fish, so it's not relevant to you.
No fish, no eggs.
So, Hollywood movie or binge watching some web series on Netflix?
Netflix.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prerna. I think your journey will definitely inspire young people to take up politics as a profession, and they should have the courage and conviction, putting community at heart and take this journey forward. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish to see you as a minister, if not not just MP, but a minister in Westminster Parliament sometime soon. So all the best, friend.
Thank you very much for your interview and for your time as well. Thank you.